Hello, everyone, and this is Maud here again. Welcome to 9 Yin Yoga poses for better sleep. This class is intended for you to take before you get to bed or before you have a long nap, maybe. And so the hope is that after this class, you will have cultivated a sense of relaxation to bring the body and the mind to a gentler place so that your sleep is better and deeper. Feel free to grab any of the props that you have. As you can see, I have here my bolster, my blanket, my blocks, and my strap. So whatever you have at your disposal, go ahead and grab them. Otherwise, we're going to start on our feet in a nice dangle pose. So you can get to any part of your mat, the middle part of your mat or the top part, and then separate your feet about hip width apart or a little bit wider, and just dangle the body. You can start to grab elbow to elbow, finding some nice swings left and right at first to just kind of open up the backs of the legs, maybe having a little bit of wiggle on the lower back. And if you're releasing your arms down and your fingers down, you can maybe start to make figure eights with your hands. And then once you feel like you've done enough swing, you can just grab elbow to elbow and find a nice, solid and reliable dangle. And I say solid and reliable because we can always have the dangle shape, but our dangle becomes sloppy when we invite thoughts in that really take us out of the focus that we should be having right now, and that is the breath. So feel strong in the legs, but soft in the knees. And then just enjoy this moment. Let the head hang. Taking the inhales all the way in. Exhaling all the way out. 2 more of those breaths. Exhale out. 1 more time. Inhale in. And exhale out. Exhale out your entire day. And slowly bend the legs, plant the knees down into a child's pose. So the knees are apart, the toes are towards each other. If having a child's pose with blocks underneath or props underneath the bums gives you a nice experience and makes you feel a little bit more supported, feel free to do that, or just let the hips go far towards the heels, dropping your head and your forehead down. And in this child's pose, you can just relax the elbows down. Letting go of the day. Whatever may have happened, what matters is that you're here right now, making time for yourself. This is an investment, right? This time and space you've taken to have a very internal and personal practice. So you just honor that and make that happen the best you can. Just full inhales and exhales in this child's pose. Full inhale. And full exhale. Slide the hands underneath the shoulders. We'll get into a quadruped or hands and knees. Have a little bit of movement. Hands underneath the shoulders, the fingers are spread, the palms are open, and then the knees are underneath the shoulders. Start with a neutral spine. Let's inhale, sag the belly down. Lift your tailbone, open the chest, and lift your head for a cow pose. Exhale, rounding out the spine. Puffing up the middle back and dropping your head. Do a few more of these cat-cows. It's just good to let the spine articulate this way, especially at the end of the day. And especially since you know you're approaching sleep, so let your cat-cows maybe be a little slower, a little gentler than your usual cat-cows. Maybe one more just like that. Rounding out the spine. And then slowly come to center. Let's have a seat and get on a butterfly pose. And I want you guys to sit on something. So it could be your blanket, it could be anything. And then, since butterfly will have our feet together and our knees apart, if the hips aren't quite ready, or if you just know you have tight hips, they're not quite open, feel free to have some blocks underneath the knees. These bolster may be useful, to be sort of a cushion in front of the body. Otherwise, start here upright in your butterfly pose, opening up the knees but not overdoing anything, not overachieving. Letting your gaze be soft towards the floor. And then slowly start to slide your hands down the shins, acknowledging that we are here to cultivate relaxation. So this is not about a competition about how far you can reach down or how aligned you feel. It's really more a feeling of sensation. So try to achieve that. Just have the hands rest on the feet for now. Only allowing slow, controlled breaths, deliberate breaths. As the head is looking down, let the eyelids start to feel heavy. If your lower back starts to allow more length towards the feet, you can start to bow down lower. Just know that you can always stop at a place where you feel like you're maxed out. Deep breaths in, deep breaths out. Last breath in this butterfly. If you put a bolster underneath your belly, you can slowly remove it. Otherwise, walk your hands back towards your hips. Do a bit of cat-cow right here. Inhaling, opening the chest, looking up. Exhaling, rounding the spine. Still with the knees apart, but be slow and deliberate about it. Beautiful. Slowly come to center. We're going to come into a shoelace. So you can set your blocks aside if you want. I am mirroring you. So bring your right leg in like so. And then your left knee will be on top of the right. And depending on the day that you had, if this leg on top of the other leg just feels like here, it feels a little bit more upright rather than, snuggled with that knee. Place a block between both legs. Place a blanket between both legs. Whatever props you have at your disposal, maybe a towel, maybe a shirt. I want you guys to just feel protected and supported while you're in this pose so you can sustain it. Stay right here, upright at first, finding that nice snuggle in the knees in your shoelace. And then slowly roll the shoulders down the back, just starting to open the chest and engage the shoulders a little bit. Then inhale, lift your arms up. And as you exhale, send the left elbow underneath the right for eagle arms. Now let one of the thumbs touch your third eye, the space in this forehead between your eyebrows, while keeping the body upright. Releasing the jaw. Just notice what is happening in the lower body, maybe outside that left hip, left glute. Maybe it's in the shoulders or the chest. And you can stay right here. We'll have a little bit of change. Inhale here. And on an exhale, you slowly fold forward. Maybe the elbows rest on your thighs. Keeping the thumbs touching this part of your third eye. Because every time something touches us in that part of the forehead, it taps into our parasympathetic state, our rest and digest state. It helps us, it encourages us to get into a space and a place of just being here and being satisfied and content of being here. Take a few more breaths right here in your folded shoelace. And then slowly release your arms. You can shake the arms and shake the wrists and let the hands help this left leg, because we're going to get into a deer pose. So have your right leg, right shin sort of perpendicular across the body, and your left foot is going to be close to the glute. That means your left glute is going to be lifted up a little bit. That's what the blanket is there for. You can already put the pillow on your right side. This deer can be done upright, or if you want, you can always twist. I know I'm going to twist, and this is for going to bed, so I'm just going to put a block right there. Otherwise, inhale and really make space in the chest. Feel unrestricted, letting that energy flow freely. And then as you exhale, twist and turn the body towards the right. And this could be your deer pose. Feeling an opening happening on the left hip. And if that's plenty, or if that's a sensation that you want and that is enough, then stay upright. Some of you may want to crawl a little bit more forward, resting your elbows down and planting your forehead onto something like I am with this yoga block. Letting the elbow plant down, freeing up the fingers. Still letting the day go. The practice of Yin embraces Chinese principles, Taoist principles, and Chinese medicine. And the thought is that we have these meridians, right? These channels in our bodies and certain parts of our bodies that we can tap into physically can actually affect our internal organs. And it's through these channels, these pathways, that we can do them. So anytime you feel restricted, even in this pose, just be more allowing, be more open. And take your last breath right here. Deep inhale. Exhale. Slowly slide your hands underneath the shoulders and gently press yourselves up. Now we're going to do shoelace and deer pose on the other side. So this time you're going to bend your left leg in, and you know you're going to want to snuggle that right knee on top of the left, winging your shins out to the side. Again, listen to the body. Where's the body at when you're just in this upright shoelace? Feel free to grab anything as to pin between the legs if that just gives you a little bit more space and support. Otherwise, inhale here, open the arms. And as you exhale, send the right elbow underneath the left. You can grab palm to palm or shoulder to shoulder. There's no requirement. And then have one of the thumbs touch your third eye, opening up the rest of the fingers. Notice where you're feeling more tightness, more compression, but also notice where you're feeling a little bit more balance and open. Take an inhale here. And as you exhale, slowly bow down into this folded shoelace. You right away know which hip is tighter or which hip is more allowing for some space. When you breathe through these spaces, you really do sort of allow yourself to get into parts of the body that we may not see, but we know we can access through the breath and through channeling our thoughts towards it. It's very powerful. Deep breath in. And then deep breath out. One more time, maybe a little bit longer exhale. Inhale. Exhale it out. Slowly peel the elbows away from the legs. Release the arms. Keeping this left leg bent. Helping that right leg to go to the back. Having that right foot close to your glute. Coming here in a deer pose. Perhaps shifting your furniture and your props over to the left side. Again, this right bum is going to get lifted a little bit. And so again, if this is your deer and this is already plenty, just even face front and find a nice opening in that right hip. Otherwise, you can twist the body to the left and still remain a little bit upright. When you breathe here, you're really assessing, not judging the body. Options are to stay right here, upright, or to walk your hands. And I mean it, guys. Please do not just take the body there. You could gradually get there, planting your elbows down, opening up the palms, having something underneath the forehead so the neck doesn't have to fight for a particular shape. And right here, we're just going to bow. Maybe bow down to yourself. Bow down to the person that kind of went through the day that you did. Maybe you had little wins. Maybe you had little losses. It doesn't matter. Right now, this means that you're taking care of yourself and prioritizing yourself. So regardless of how your day went, in the end, you're here. And this matters. Full breaths, inhales and exhales. Pairing the soft breath with a soft face. Pairing the soft breath with intention to relax. Take your last breath here. Inhale. And as you exhale, palms down underneath the shoulders, gently peel yourself off of your furniture. Nice job. Maybe as a little bit of intermission, we can do some seated windshield wipers, sending those knees to the left and right, but still really being intentional and taking the time to really drop the knees down towards the mat. Still very much an important part of the class and the program. We are going to get into caterpillar pose. So grab your bolster. This is better done with something underneath your bums. Again, we know we're going to fold forward, so have one of the blocks, have one of your props on it, on the bolster. And then inhale, I always want to start lengthening the spine, maybe even opening the arms up. And as you exhale, feel like you could glaze the upper body forward. And then you just drop down to the spot that feels comfortable to the body, and then let your head go. Forehead resting on something. Notice if anything changed with your breath. Notice if your mind started to shift to something else about the morning. If you're making your checklist right now, just tell yourself it's still going to be there when everything is said and done. So right now, just focus on being here. When you exhale, letting it all out. Palms down on the mat, slowly uncurl the spine. Beautiful, with heavy eyelids and kind of a slowness in the movement already. You sense a change. You can set the bolster aside and maybe just let the blanket stay close to you. We're going to get into a swan and eventually a sleeping swan, or otherwise known as pigeon pose. But in Yin speak, it is called sleeping swan. So I'm going to start here with my right leg back and my left leg bent. And I'm going to sit on my blanket and then plant my hands down in front of me. And instead of dumping into this sleeping swan, I'm going to stay upright right here in the swan and just swing my hips left and right. There are different schools of thought in Yin Yoga. Some people suggest that this sort of movement is not necessary. For me personally, I think it is, because I think sleeping swan is a big pose and the hips need to be prepared for where it's going. So since I've done a few sways left and right and I feel comfortable to fold, I can just fold right here. I can just have my elbows down and dangle my head. Or if you want, you can also place the hands underneath your forehead and make that into a pillow. When you breathe, breathe to relax. No breath of frustration. It's not a breath of aggression or competition or disturbance. It's a breath that's allowing for a lot of surrender to happen, especially when we are in these prone poses where we're looking down. Take that as an opportunity to look inward without necessarily judging. Take every opportunity to lengthen the spine and melt the hips down. Take your last breath here. Exhale out. When you're done, peel your forehead away from the prop. Hands down on the mat and slowly make your hands in towards your hips. Keeping this right leg in, this left leg out. Just find this nice front-facing pose with the left leg opening. And we're not really doing much here. We're just going to stay here for a little bit. Maybe just 2 more breaths. Now we're going to take our swan pose to the other side. So this time my right leg is bent, my left leg is behind me. I'm going to take the time to really cushion my hips here. And just bending that leg and starting to find these sways that I was talking about earlier. Preparing the hips for the opening on that back hip, the external rotation on that front hip. And once you think you've done enough sways and you've listened to the body and it's kind of ready, find your fold. Elbows can be down. Or you can find a pillow with your hands and drape the body, drape the head over those hands like a pillow. Breathe through that tight space in the hips, maybe even the groin and the inner thigh. And when you exhale, feel like a weight just lifted. Or there was just a space in those tissues that cracked open and allowing some release. Nice breath. Keep lengthening the spine. Soft breath. Take your last exhale. Sliding the hands underneath the shoulders. Gently pushing yourselves up. Taking this time to lengthen the leg, keeping the front leg bent. And let's make our way on our back, so removing the props out of the way. Maybe just having this blanket as a pillow if you want. Otherwise, just keep the legs bent. We're going to get into snail pose. There are different variations of snail. But for now, the thing about snail is there's this heave-ho momentum that people tend to do about lifting the hips above the shoulders. What I want to do is I kind of want to do this rocking motion first. Have my hands on my booty or on the side of the hips and slowly let them help me get there. And if you're still kind of tight that you can't get your feet down towards the mat, keeping the back of the neck long, you can always bend the legs, have your knees to the forehead or even outside the head. Hands can be on your back and just hang out. The important part here is you're not putting so much weight on your neck. Your upper back, your shoulders, your elbows are taking some of this weight. If you're in a full snail pose with your feet down on the ground, honor that, stay there. For me, this is personally more quieting, more relaxing, perfect to do right before sleep. Take a few breaths in. Remember, the goal is relaxation. Take your last breath. And with the hands cupping and cradling your hips, slowly lower. Plant your feet down. You can just stay right here with your hands on the belly, lengthening the lower back. Squeeze your glutes together and slowly rise into a bridge pose without any props. So feeling the activation in the glutes, which helps open the hips. These are extensors and openers of the hips. And maybe just letting your arms rest down. If you choose to have a supported bridge with something underneath your sacrum, honor that. We're not going to be here for long. Inhale right here. Exhale it out. And then slowly lower the hips down. Sending the knees to the chest. Finding a nice twist left and right. Starting with dropping the knees to the right side. The beauty in this practice is that there's so much stuff that comes up in the slowness of it. Our impatience gets tested. Our need to accomplish something gets tested. Our need to multitask gets tested. Inhale in. And then exhale out. Slowly release this twist. Bring the knees to the chest. And send the knees all the way to the left, shifting your hips right, finding the nice twist on this direction. Left hand could be on top of that thigh. Sort of honoring that beauty that I was talking about. Resist the urge to always have to do something, and right now just really chill. Last breath right here. And then slowly release from this twist. Find your final resting pose. Could be Shavasana, traditional Shavasana with the feet apart, hands on either side of the hips. Placing something underneath the knees if that feels good to your lower back. You can elevate the legs on the wall, whatever it is that you want to do. But in your final resting pose right here, this of all the poses should cultivate that sense of relaxation that you've been wanting. So just melt. And visualize an energy level bar in front of you. And your energy right now is at a 6. With every exhale, your energy lowers to a 5. Energy level to a 4. A 3. A 2. And a 1. Just melt. You can stay here for as long as you want. Whenever you're ready to come out, really move the fingers and toes. Move the feet, the ankles, maybe the shoulders and the hips. And on your next inhale, you're going to point your toes and extend your arms overhead like a good morning stretch. And bend your legs and roll onto a side of your choice, feeling heavy in the chest and heavy in the eyes. Gently pressing yourselves up to a nice comfortable seated position. Taking the time to just stay right here, feeling settled and noticing the shift in energy and still cultivating a sense of relaxation, of peace, of no disturbance whatsoever. Press your palms together. Thumbs touching your chest. Slowly blink your eyes open. Thank you so much for taking this class, taking care of yourselves. This Yin Yoga class for better sleep is something that probably you can do every night if you want. Spread the word. Have more of your friends and family sleeping better. Sleep is very important. And I really hope that you enjoyed this class. Thank you so much. Namaste from me to you. Thanks and bye for now.